Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And before you relax, I need you to hear this carefully. The woman you think is losing interest in you might actually be the one who feels the most. And that confusion you feel right now, that pull and distance, that warmth followed by silence, it's not random, it's psychological. And if you don't understand it, you will misread her completely. So before we go deeper, take a second, subscribe to the channel, and like this video. Because what you're about to hear will change how you see her behavior forever. I'm going to speak to you not like a stranger, but like someone who has seen this pattern play out hundreds of times in real emotional dynamics. When a woman deeply cares about you, her behavior does not always become more obvious. It often becomes more complex. That's where most men get it wrong. You were taught that love equals consistency, clarity, constant attention. But real emotional attachment, especially from a woman who is self-aware, guarded, or has been hurt, does not always look stable on the surface. When she loves you a lot, something unexpected happens inside her. She becomes more aware of you, more affected by you, and ironically, more cautious of you. That caution doesn't come from disinterest, it comes from emotional risk. You begin to matter more than she is comfortable admitting, even to herself. And when that happens, her instinct is not always to move closer. Sometimes, it's to pull back. You see her ignoring your messages, taking longer to respond, acting like she's less invested. And your mind starts creating dangerous conclusions. You think she's losing attraction. You think she's talking to someone else. You think you're being replaced. But what you don't realize is that her silence is often not about you being less important. It's about you becoming too important. This is where your reaction defines everything. Most men chase harder at this point. They panic, they over-message, they try to force clarity. And in doing that, they unknowingly confirm her deepest fear, that getting closer to you means losing control of her emotions. And that is where the distance grows. Now, let me reveal the first truth most men never see. When she ignores you, it's often because of emotional intensity. When a woman truly loves a man, her feelings can become overwhelming. Think about it. Imagine caring about someone so much that every interaction, every word, every glance carries weight. That intensity isn't easy to manage. It excites her, yes, but it also scares her. And the natural reaction to fear, especially emotional fear, is retreat. This isn't manipulation, it's human psychology. The deeper her love, the stronger her desire to protect herself from potential pain. So she might withdraw, disappear for hours or even days without explanation. That silence doesn't mean she's fading, it means she's processing, recalibrating, and trying not to let her emotions control her actions entirely. She doesn't want to look desperate, needy, or overwhelmed. She wants to stay composed, even if inside she's thinking of you constantly. The key here is perception versus reality. You perceive her absence as disinterest because that's the frame you've been trained to recognize: constant communication, constant attention. But in reality, her mind is occupied by thoughts of you. Every text she doesn't send, every call she doesn't answer immediately, is her way of managing feelings she isn't ready to fully express. It's like emotional gravity. She loves you so strongly it pulls her in, but the weight makes her hesitate. Most men respond to this silence with frustration or anger. They demand explanations. They check her social media. They even confront her. And here's the irony. The harder you push, the more you force her to retreat. Why? Because when she's emotionally overloaded, pressure triggers instinctive withdrawal. The deeper the love, the more she fears losing herself in it. This is where knowing the pattern changes everything. Understanding that her ignoring is not rejection, it's protection, gives you a mental edge. You don't react out of panic. You observe, you stabilize yourself, and you wait. Because men who understand this dynamic are the men women are drawn to most. Calm, composed, unshakable, while she battles her own storm of emotions. Later, I'll show you the other two hidden reasons she pulls away, reasons most men never even consider, and why they completely misread the signals of love. Here's the second truth that shatters the way most men interpret her behavior. When she ignores you, it's often because of trust and vulnerability. Loving someone deeply doesn't make her fearless. It makes her vulnerable in ways she can barely admit to herself. And vulnerability triggers a paradox. The more she cares, the more cautious she becomes. Think about it. Every man she's ever trusted has left a mark, consciously or unconsciously. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every time she showed her heart and it got hurt, teaches her a lesson. Love comes with risk. And when she feels that same risk with you, someone who matters more than anyone before, her instinct is to protect her emotional center. She pulls back, she pauses, she disappears. Not because she doesn't love you, but because she's testing if it's safe to love you fully. This is why timing is everything. If you respond with insecurity, jealousy, or panic, you confirm her worst fears, that intimacy with you could lead to pain. If instead you respond with stability, confidence, and emotional calm, you send a silent message that she can safely be herself around you. You become her safe space, the rare man who doesn't threaten her emotions, even when she's overflowing with feeling for you. Here's the critical point most men miss. Her silence is not absence of love. It's a signal that she's wrestling with whether she can fully trust you. She might replay past hurts in her mind, question if opening up will backfire, or wonder if the intensity of her feelings will scare you away. And while she's doing that, she might seem distant, aloof, or uninterested. But every thought, every hesitation, every ignored message is rooted in the depth of her care. Most men interpret this as a game or manipulation, but it's not. It's human psychology in its rawest form. A woman who loves intensely and fears vulnerability will naturally oscillate between closeness and distance. And your role isn't to fix her. It's to understand her, to read the signals without overreacting, to let her heart catch up to her mind. The men who master this dynamic don't just survive her emotional waves, they thrive in them. They are the men she eventually leans into, the ones she trusts with the most intimate parts of herself. The third reason she ignores you, the one most men never suspect, is the one that actually explains the patterns you see every day. And when you understand it, you'll never misread her signals again. Now let me share the third truth. This one hits deeper than anything you've likely considered. When she ignores you, it's often because of testing your emotional strength. Yes, she's evaluating you, not consciously but instinctively, every time she pulls away. Women who truly love deeply want to see who you really are under pressure, how grounded you remain when her attention isn't guaranteed. This is not cruelty, this is survival instinct mixed with deep love. Think about it, she's putting pieces of herself on the line, and she needs to know if you're stable enough to handle them. Emotional strength, patience, and self-control are magnetic to her because they signal safety. When she disappears or becomes distant, she isn't punishing you, she's observing. She's silently asking, can he remain composed without me? Does he chase, or does he anchor himself in confidence? Most men fail this test unknowingly. They respond with anxiety, over-texting, and desperate attempts to pull her back. That panic confirms her fears. She loves too much for her own peace. And ironically, the more she sees instability in you, the more distant she becomes. The more she pulls, the harder it is for her to trust her emotions won't overwhelm the relationship. Here's the part men never see clearly. Love and fear coexist in her mind simultaneously. She loves passionately, but fear keeps her from surrendering completely. She ignores you sometimes, not because she wants space from you, but because she needs to see if your presence is something solid or something she'll have to chase. And men who can remain unwavering, calm, and confident, they pass this unspoken test without even realizing it. Emotional balance is the invisible currency here. The man who panics loses her attention. The man who remains steady gains it, silently, irrevocably, and with far more influence than he could ever exert through words alone. She feels it, she notices it, and in the back of her mind, even when she acts distant, she's drawn toward it irresistibly. Understand this deeply. Her pull and push isn't rejection. It's a measure of your strength, your stability, your ability to remain yourself when love is complicated, when feelings run high, and when every silence could be misread. Those who master this dynamic become the men she cannot ignore, not because they manipulate, but because they embody what every woman craves: certainty, even amid uncertainty. When you internalize these three truths, you see her ignoring you not as a threat, but as proof of how much she actually cares, and how much your actions can either deepen or destroy that connection. Here's something almost no man realizes. When she ignores you, it's a mirror reflecting your own emotional state. Every reaction you have to her distance either strengthens or weakens the bond. If you respond with desperation, jealousy, or overthinking, you feed the very instability she fears. But if you respond with calm, clarity, and unwavering self-respect, you become the anchor she didn't even know she was searching for. Think about it. Every woman who loves intensely has an internal radar, subtle, subconscious, and incredibly accurate. She feels tension, insecurity, and neediness immediately. And just like you instinctively pull toward what comforts you, she instinctively pulls toward what stabilizes her heart. That's why men who master themselves, who hold their ground, pursue their own goals, and show patience without panic, become magnetic. Even when she's ignoring them, her mind is circling, her emotions are pulling, and her subconscious is saying, "He's different, he's safe, he's worth it." Here's the catch most men miss. She doesn't need explanations. She doesn't need constant reassurance. She needs a man who can sit in silence, who doesn't collapse under the weight of her absence, who respects both her space and his own worth. Every message you send in panic, every demand for clarity, chips away at attraction. Every measured action, every calm pause builds tension, connection, and respect. And let's be brutally honest. This isn't just about her. This is about you becoming the kind of man who isn't shaken by love, loss, or distance. A man who can observe the push and pull without losing himself is irresistible, not because of charm or flattery, but because of authenticity and emotional strength. That's the real power in relationships, the unspoken, invisible power that women are wired to recognize and respond to. So when she ignores you, don't overthink, don't chase, and don't doubt. Understand that this silence is a test, a reflection of her fear, and ultimately, a sign of how much you matter. The man who sees this clearly and remains composed doesn't just survive her emotional waves, he thrives within them, building an unshakable bond that few men will ever achieve. Once you fully grasp this, every confusing moment, every unanswered text, every pullback from her transforms from anxiety into clarity. You start seeing love not as a game, not as manipulation, but as a psychological dance, one you now know the steps to, if you choose to master them. Now, here's the ultimate truth, the one that most men never understand, and yet it changes everything. When she ignores you, it's not about losing interest. It's about making space for the love to breathe. Women who love intensely can feel suffocated by too much attention, too much expectation, too much pressure. And when that happens, even subconsciously, the mind retreats. She pulls away not because she doesn't care, but because her emotions are too strong to handle in the moment. This is where most men make the fatal mistake. They see distance and assume rejection. They see silence and assume betrayal. They see a delayed response and assume disinterest. But the reality is the exact opposite. The more she ignores you in these moments, the more she is actually processing how deeply she feels, how much she values you, and how much she wants to protect the delicate balance of love between you. Here's what separates men who thrive from men who crumble. Understanding that her pullback is not a battle to win, but a signal to respond with calm, confidence, and patience. You don't chase, you don't plead, you don't panic. You maintain your presence, your strength, your life, and in doing so, you become the anchor she didn't know she needed. Every moment of composure you show amplifies her attraction, her trust, and her desire. Think of it this way. When she tests you through distance, she is silently asking, "Is he enough for me even when I'm hard to reach? Will he remain steady when my emotions fluctuate?" Your response writes the script of your relationship. Panic creates chaos. Calm creates connection. Confidence creates desire. And understanding, deep, unshakable understanding, creates a love that doesn't just survive, it grows stronger, even in silence. So if you've ever been confused by her ignoring you, if you've ever felt the sting of distance in the moments you wanted closeness, now you see the truth. Her love is stronger than you imagined. Her silence is proof of it, not denial. The man who grasps this, who internalizes it, who acts with measured patience and self-assured strength, becomes irresistible. He becomes the one she seeks, even when she appears distant. Remember this, love isn't always about proximity. Sometimes it's about understanding, observing, and embodying stability. And when you do that, her heart will return to you more fiercely than you ever thought possible. That's the secret no one tells men, but now you know.